The stars above Earth shimmered like distant diamonds, cold and unfeeling. For centuries, humanity had gazed at them with wonder, dreaming of what lay beyond. But now, those stars felt closer than ever, and far more dangerous. The Galactic Union, a coalition of advanced alien civilizations, had arrived. They came not as friends, but as conquerors. To them, Earth was a primitive backwater, a planet of weaklings who had barely scratched the surface of space travel. They saw no threat, no reason to fear. They were wrong. The first contact was brief and brutal. A massive alien ship, sleek and silver, descended over New York City. Its shadow swallowed the skyline, and its voice, a deep, resonant hum, echoed across the planet. People of Earth, it boomed, you are now under the protection of the Galactic Union. Resistance is futile. Surrender, and you will be spared. The world watched in stunned silence. Leaders scrambled to respond, but the aliens moved faster. Within hours, their ships appeared over every major city. Their technology was beyond anything humanity had ever seen. Energy shields deflected missiles, and their weapons could vaporize entire buildings with a single shot. The message was clear: Earth was powerless. But not everyone believed that. In a small, hidden facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, a team of scientists and engineers had been working on something extraordinary. For years, they had studied alien artifacts recovered from crash sites and ancient ruins. They had pieced together fragments of technology, reverse-engineered alien materials, and combined them with human ingenuity. Their project was called Aegis, and it was humanity's last hope. The leader of the project, a man named John, stood in the control room, staring at a holographic display of Earth. Red dots marked the alien ships, their numbers growing by the hour. His team worked tirelessly around him, their faces tense but determined. They knew what was at stake. "We can't fight them head-on," John said, his voice steady. "Their ships are too advanced, their weapons too powerful. But we don't need to beat them in space. We need to beat them here, on the ground." One of the engineers, a woman named Lisa, stepped forward. "Aegis is ready," she said. "The prototypes have been tested. They work. But we only have one shot at this." John nodded. "Then we make it count." Aegis was not a weapon in the traditional sense. It was a suit of armor unlike anything the world had ever seen. Powered by alien technology and human innovation, it could enhance the wearer's strength, speed, and reflexes to superhuman levels. But its true power lay in its ability to adapt. It could absorb energy, learn from attacks, and evolve in real time. It was, in every sense, alive. The plan was simple: deploy the Aegis suits to key locations around the world, where they could engage the alien forces directly. The suits would draw the aliens' attention, forcing them to focus their efforts on the ground. Meanwhile, humanity's remaining military forces would regroup and strike back. As the first Aegis suits were activated, the aliens took notice. Their ships shifted, their weapons trained on the new threat. But they were not prepared for what came next. In the streets of Tokyo, a single Aegis-wearing soldier faced down a squad of alien warriors. The aliens fired their energy weapons, but the suit absorbed the blasts, its surface glowing brighter with each hit. The soldier moved with impossible speed, disarming the aliens and disabling their ships with precise strikes. In London, another Aegis-wearer took on a massive alien walker, tearing it apart with bare hands. The aliens were stunned. These humans, whom they had dismissed as weak, were fighting back, and winning. For the first time, doubt crept into their minds. What else were these humans capable of? As the battles raged on, John watched from the control room, a grim smile on his face. "They thought we were weak," he said. "But they didn't understand our true power. We don't give up. We don't surrender. And we never stop fighting." The tide was turning. Humanity was no longer the prey. They were the hunters. The alien forces, once confident and unstoppable, now faced an enemy they could not comprehend. The Aegis suits were more than just armor, they were a symbol of humanity's resilience. Each battle fought by the Aegis soldiers sent a clear message: Earth would not fall without a fight. But the war was far from over. In the skies above Beijing, an Aegis soldier named Alex soared through the air, propelled by the suit's thrusters. Below him, alien ships hovered, their weapons glowing ominously. Alex dodged a barrage of energy blasts, his suit's adaptive systems analyzing the attacks and adjusting his defenses in real time. With a swift motion, he launched a counterattack, firing a concentrated beam of energy that tore through the alien ship's hull. The vessel exploded in a fiery burst, its wreckage raining down on the city. But the victory was short-lived. More ships appeared, their numbers overwhelming. Alex's suit began to strain under the constant barrage. "I can't hold them off alone," he shouted into his comms. Back at the Aegis facility, John and his team monitored the battle. "We need to deploy more suits," Lisa said urgently. "If we lose Beijing, we lose the region." John clenched his fists. "We don't have enough suits ready. The prototypes are still being tested. If we send them out now, they might not hold up." Lisa turned to him, her eyes fierce. "We don't have a choice. If we wait, it'll be too late." Reluctantly, John nodded. "Deploy the prototypes. And pray they work." Across the globe, more Aegis soldiers joined the fight. In Paris, a young woman named Emma activated her suit for the first time. The armor encased her body, its systems syncing with her movements. She felt a surge of power as the suit came to life, its energy coursing through her veins. Stepping out into the streets, she faced a group of alien soldiers. They fired at her, but the suit absorbed the blasts, its surface glowing brighter with each hit. Emma charged forward, her movements fluid and precise. She disarmed the aliens with ease, her suit's enhanced strength making her a force to be reckoned with. But not all battles went smoothly. In Cairo, a prototype suit malfunctioned mid-fight. The soldier inside, a man named Tom, struggled to maintain control as the suit's systems overloaded. "Something's wrong," he yelled. "I can't," his voice cut off as the suit exploded, taking out a nearby alien ship in the process. The loss was devastating, but it also revealed a critical flaw in the Aegis technology. "We need to stabilize the prototypes," John said, his voice heavy with frustration. "If we lose more soldiers like this, we won't stand a chance." Lisa nodded, her mind racing. "We can reroute the power systems, reinforce the energy conduits. But it'll take time." Time was a luxury they didn't have. The aliens were adapting, too. Their ships began targeting Aegis soldiers specifically, using advanced tactics to overwhelm them. In Moscow, an Aegis soldier named Ivan found himself surrounded by alien drones. They swarmed him, their weapons firing relentlessly. Ivan fought back, but the sheer number of drones was too much. His suit's energy reserves depleted, and he fell to the ground, defenseless. The aliens closed in, their weapons aimed at his chest. But before they could fire, a blinding light erupted from the sky. A massive human warship, retrofitted with alien technology, descended upon the battlefield. Its cannons roared, obliterating the drones in seconds. Ivan looked up, stunned. "What the hell is that?" The warship was humanity's secret weapon, a last-ditch effort to turn the tide of the war. Built in secret over the past decade, it combined human engineering with alien technology, creating a vessel that could rival the Galactic Union's ships. Its arrival marked a turning point in the war. John watched from the control room as the warship engaged the alien fleet. "This is it," he said. "This is our chance. All Aegis units, focus your efforts on supporting the warship. We need to take down their command ship." The command ship was the heart of the alien fleet, a massive, heavily armored vessel that coordinated their attacks. If they could destroy it, the aliens would be left leaderless and disorganized. As the warship and Aegis soldiers fought side by side, the aliens began to falter. Their once unstoppable advance slowed, their confidence shaken. For the first time, humanity had the upper hand. But the battle was far from over. The command ship loomed in the distance, its defenses impenetrable. To destroy it, they would need to risk everything. John turned to Lisa, his expression grim. "This is it. We either win this now, or we lose everything." Lisa nodded, her resolve unwavering. "Then let's make sure we win." The human warship, a colossal amalgamation of Earth's ingenuity and alien technology, surged forward like a beast unleashed. Its cannons roared, tearing through the alien fleet with precision and fury. The Aegis soldiers on the ground, emboldened by its arrival, fought with renewed vigor. But the command ship, the towering, ominous centerpiece of the alien armada, remained untouched, its shields impenetrable and its weapons devastating. John stood in the control room, his eyes fixed on the holographic display. The command ship was their primary target, but every attempt to breach its defenses had failed. "We need a new plan," he said, his voice tense. "If we can't take it down, this war is over." Lisa, standing beside him, studied the data streaming across the screens. "The command ship's shields are powered by a central core," she said. "If we can disable it, even for a moment, we can break through." John frowned. "And how do we do that?" "We can't get close enough to hit it with our weapons, and their defenses are too strong for a direct assault." Lisa hesitated, then spoke carefully. "There's another way. The Aegis suits, they can adapt to energy signatures. If we send a team inside the command ship, they could overload the core from within." John's eyes widened. "You're talking about a suicide mission." Lisa met his gaze, her expression resolute. "It's the only way. One team, one shot. If they succeed, we win. If they fail." She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. John clenched his fists, the weight of the decision pressing down on him. He knew she was right, but the thought of sending anyone on such a mission was unbearable. Finally, he nodded. "Assemble the team. We don't have much time." The team was small but determined. 4 Aegis soldiers, Alex, Emma, Ivan, and a newcomer named Mark, stood in the hangar of the warship, their suits gleaming under the harsh lights. John addressed them, his voice steady but heavy with emotion. "This is it," he said. "You all know the risks. If you succeed, you'll give humanity a fighting chance. If you fail..." He paused, then shook his head. "Just make it count." The soldiers nodded, their faces set with determination. They boarded a small, stealth-equipped shuttle, its design borrowed from alien technology. As the shuttle launched into the chaos of battle, the team prepared themselves for what lay ahead. The journey to the command ship was fraught with danger. Alien fighters swarmed the shuttle, their weapons tearing through the void. The pilot, a skilled veteran named Sarah, maneuvered with expert precision, dodging blasts and weaving through the chaos. "Hold on," she shouted as the shuttle shuddered under a direct hit. "We're almost there." The command ship loomed ahead, its massive form casting a shadow over the shuttle. Sarah guided the shuttle toward a small access port, its defenses momentarily weakened by the warship's barrage. "This is it," she said. "Once you're inside, you're on your own." The team disembarked, their suits' stealth systems activated. They moved swiftly through the alien corridors, their movements silent and precise. The command ship's interior was a labyrinth of glowing panels and alien machinery, its design both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Alex led the way, his suit sensors scanning for the core. "This way," he whispered, gesturing toward a heavily fortified door. The core should be behind there. The team approached the door, but it was sealed shut. Emma stepped forward, her suit's energy blade slicing through the metal with ease. The door hissed open, revealing the core, a massive, pulsating sphere of energy. Ivan stared at it, his voice filled with awe. That's it. That's what's powering their shields. Mark stepped forward, his suit's systems analyzing the core. If we overload it, the shields will go down. But it'll take everything we've got. The team exchanged glances, their resolve hardening. They knew what had to be done. Alex activated his suit's energy reserves, the systems humming with power. On my mark, he said. We hit it with everything we've got. The team positioned themselves around the core, their suit's energy system syncing. Alex counted down. 3, 2, 1. Now. They unleashed a concentrated burst of energy, the force of it shaking the command ship to its core. The sphere pulsed violently, its light growing brighter and brighter until it finally exploded in a blinding flash. The command ship's shields flickered and died, its defenses crumbling. The warship seized the opportunity, its cannons tearing through the command ship's hull. The massive vessel shuddered, then began to break apart, its destruction sending shockwaves through the alien fleet. Inside the command ship, the team braced themselves as the structure collapsed around them. We did it, Emma said, her voice filled with both triumph and sorrow. We actually did it. But their victory came at a cost. The explosion had damaged their suits, and the command ship was falling apart. As the team made their way back to the shuttle, they knew they might not make it out alive. The command ship was breaking apart, its massive structure crumbling under the weight of its own destruction. Flames erupted from ruptured conduits, and the air grew thick with smoke. The Aegis team moved as quickly as they could, their damaged suits struggling to keep up. Every step was a battle against the chaos around them. Alex led the way, his suit's sensors barely functioning. The shuttle's not far, he said, his voice strained. If we can just... An explosion rocked the corridor, throwing the team to the ground. Ivan groaned as he pushed himself up, his suit's systems flickering. We're not going to make it, he said, his voice filled with despair. Emma grabbed his arm, pulling him to his feet. We don't have a choice. We keep moving. The team pressed on, their determination unwavering. But the command ship was collapsing faster than they could escape. Debris rained down from above, and the floor beneath them began to buckle. Mark, bringing up the rear, suddenly stopped. Go on without me, he said, his voice calm but resolute. The others turned to him, their faces filled with shock. What are you talking about? Alex demanded. We're not leaving you. Mark shook his head. My suit's too damaged. I'll only slow you down. Go. Finish the mission. Emma stepped forward, her eyes blazing. We're not leaving anyone behind. Not after everything we've been through. Mark smiled faintly. You have to. This is bigger than any of us. Just, make sure it was worth it. Before anyone could argue further, another explosion tore through the corridor, separating Mark from the rest of the team. The others stared in horror as the debris sealed him off, his fate uncertain. Alex clenched his fists, his voice filled with anger and grief. We have to keep moving. For him. The team pushed forward, their hearts heavy but their resolve unshaken. They finally reached the shuttle, its hull battered but intact. Sarah, the pilot, was waiting for them, her face pale with worry. Where's Mark? She asked as the team boarded. Alex shook his head, his voice barely above a whisper. He didn't make it. Sarah's face fell, but she quickly composed herself. We need to go. Now. The shuttle launched from the command ship just as it began to break apart, its massive form disintegrating in a fiery explosion. The shockwave rocked the shuttle, but Sarah managed to stabilize it, guiding it back toward the warship. On board the warship, John and Lisa watched as the command ship was destroyed, its remains scattering across the battlefield. The alien fleet, now leaderless, began to retreat, their ships fleeing in disarray. John let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. "They did it," he said, his voice filled with awe. "They actually did it." Lisa nodded, her eyes shining with tears. "But at what cost?" The shuttle docked with the warship, and the team disembarked, their faces grim. Alex stepped forward, his voice heavy with emotion. "We lost Mark. But we completed the mission. The command ship is gone." John placed a hand on Alex's shoulder, his expression filled with sorrow and pride. "You did more than complete the mission. You gave us a chance. Mark's sacrifice won't be forgotten." The team stood in silence, their hearts heavy but their spirits unbroken. They had faced the impossible and emerged victorious, but the cost had been high. The war was far from over, but for the first time, they felt a glimmer of hope. As the warship regrouped and prepared for the next phase of the battle, John addressed the crew, his voice filled with determination. "This is just the beginning. The aliens thought we were weak, but they were wrong. We've shown them what humanity is capable of. And we're not done yet." The crew cheered, their voices echoing through the ship. They knew the road ahead would be difficult, but they were ready to face it. Together, they would fight for Earth, for their future, and for those they had lost. The destruction of the alien command ship was a turning point, but the war was far from over. The Galactic Union's fleet, though disorganized, was still vast and deadly. Humanity's warship, now the symbol of Earth's defiance, became the rallying point for the remaining human forces. Across the planet, scattered militias, resistance groups, and surviving military units began to regroup, their spirits lifted by the news of the command ship's fall. John stood on the bridge of the warship, his eyes scanning the holographic display of Earth. Red dots still marked the alien presence, but they were fewer now, and their movements were chaotic. "We need to press our advantage," he said, his voice firm. "If we let them regroup, they'll come back stronger." Lisa nodded, her fingers flying across the control panel. "I'm coordinating with the remaining Aegis teams. They're ready to deploy wherever needed. But we need a plan, something decisive." John turned to her, his expression thoughtful. "We hit them where it hurts. Their supply lines. Without resources, they can't sustain their forces. We cut them off, and we starve them out." The plan was risky, but it was their best chance. The aliens relied on a network of supply ships to keep their fleet operational. If humanity could disrupt that network, the alien forces would be crippled. The warship, along with the Aegis teams, would lead the assault. The first target was a massive alien supply depot orbiting Jupiter. The depot was heavily guarded, but it was also a critical hub for the alien fleet. If they could destroy it, the ripple effect would be felt across the entire war. The warship approached the depot under the cover of an asteroid field, its stealth systems activated. On board, the Aegis team prepared for the mission. Alex, Emma, and Ivan were joined by two new recruits, a young man named Jake and a woman named Maria. They were inexperienced but determined, their resolve unshaken by the horrors of war. John addressed the team before they deployed. "This is it. We take out the depot, and we cut off their supplies. But it won't be easy. Stay focused, watch each other's backs, and remember why we're fighting." The team nodded, their faces set with determination. They boarded a small assault craft, its design optimized for stealth and speed. As the craft launched from the warship, the team braced themselves for what lay ahead. The depot loomed in the distance, its massive form bristling with defenses. Alien patrol ships circled the area, their sensors scanning for threats. The assault craft slipped through their net, its stealth systems holding firm. As they approached the depot, Alex activated his suit's systems. We'll split into 2 teams. Emma and Maria, you take the east side. Ivan, Jake, and I will handle the west. Plant the charges and get out fast. We don't have much time. The team disembarked, their suits' thrusters carrying them silently through the void. They moved with precision, their training and the Aegis technology making them nearly invisible to the alien sensors. Emma and Maria reached their target, a critical energy conduit that powered the depot's defenses. Emma placed the charges, her hands steady despite the tension. "Done," she whispered. "Let's move." On the other side of the depot, Alex, Ivan, and Jake faced a different challenge. Their target was a storage facility filled with volatile alien fuel. The slightest mistake could trigger a catastrophic explosion. Alex placed the charges carefully, his suit systems guiding his movements. "Almost there," he said. "Just a few more." An alarm blared, and the depot's defenses sprang to life. The team had been detected. "We need to go," Ivan shouted, his voice filled with urgency. The team activated their thrusters, racing back to the assault craft as the depot's defenses opened fire. The charges detonated behind them, the explosions tearing through the depot's structure. The facility erupted in a massive fireball, its destruction sending shockwaves through the alien fleet. The assault craft barely made it out alive, its hull scorched and battered. As it docked with the warship, the team breathed a collective sigh of relief. "We did it," Jake said, his voice filled with awe. "We actually did it." John greeted them as they disembarked, his expression filled with pride. "You've given us a fighting chance. But this is just the beginning. We need to keep pushing, keep fighting. For Earth, and for everyone we've lost." The team nodded, their resolve unshaken. They knew the road ahead would be difficult, but they were ready to face it. Together, they would fight for their future, and for the hope of a world free from the shadow of the Galactic Union. The destruction of the alien supply depot was a devastating blow to the Galactic Union. Without resources, their fleet began to falter. Ships drifted aimlessly, their systems failing as fuel and energy ran low. The tide of the war had shifted, and humanity, once on the brink of annihilation, now fought with the fury of those who had nothing left to lose. But the aliens were not defeated yet. Their leaders, hidden in the shadows, regrouped their remaining forces for one final, desperate assault. Earth's warship, now a beacon of hope, became their primary target. If they could destroy it, they could crush humanity's spirit and reclaim their dominance. John stood on the bridge of the warship, his eyes fixed on the holographic display. The alien fleet was converging, their ships forming a massive armada. "They're coming for us," he said, his voice steady but grim. "This is it. The final battle." Lisa stepped forward, her expression resolute. "We're ready. The Aegis teams are prepped, and the warship systems are at full capacity. We'll give them everything we've got." John nodded, his jaw clenched. "Then let's finish this." The alien fleet arrived in a wave of fire and light, their ships descending upon the warship like a swarm of angry wasps. The warship's cannons roared, tearing through the enemy lines, but the aliens kept coming, their numbers overwhelming. On board, the Aegis team prepared for the fight of their lives. Alex, Emma, Ivan, Jake, and Maria stood together, their suits gleaming under the harsh lights. "This is it," Alex said, his voice filled with determination. "We fight for Earth. For our future. For everyone we've lost." The team deployed into the chaos, their suits' thrusters carrying them into the fray. They moved with precision and speed, their enhanced strength and reflexes making them a force to be reckoned with. Alien ships fell before them, their defenses no match for the Aegis technology. But the aliens were relentless. Their ships closed in on the warship, their weapons firing relentlessly. The warship's shields flickered under the barrage, its systems straining to keep up. John watched from the bridge, his heart pounding. "We can't hold them off much longer," he said, his voice filled with urgency. "We need to take out their command ship. Without it, they'll fall apart." Lisa nodded, her fingers flying across the control panel. "I'm coordinating with the Aegis team. They're moving into position now." The Aegis team fought their way through the chaos, their suit systems pushed to the limit. The alien command ship loomed ahead, its massive form bristling with defenses. "This is it," Emma said, her voice filled with determination. "We take it down, and we win." The team launched their assault, their suits' energy weapons tearing through the command ship's defenses. But the aliens were ready. A swarm of drones descended upon them, their weapons firing relentlessly. Alex gritted his teeth as his suit's energy reserves depleted. "We need to hurry," he shouted, his voice strained. Ivan stepped forward, his suit's systems glowing with power. "I'll cover you. Just get to the core." The team pressed forward, Ivan holding off the drones as the others reached the command ship's core. Alex placed the charges, his hands steady despite the chaos around him. "Done," he said. "Let's move." The team activated their thrusters, racing away from the command ship as the charges detonated. The core erupted in a blinding explosion, the shockwave tearing through the alien fleet. Ships were vaporized in an instant, their remains scattering across the void. The warship, battered but still standing, emerged from the chaos. The alien fleet was in disarray, their ships fleeing in every direction. The battle was over. Humanity had won. On the bridge of the warship, John let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. "We did it," he said, his voice filled with awe. "We actually did it." Lisa nodded, her eyes shining with tears. "But at what cost?" The Aegis team returned to the warship, their suits battered and their bodies weary. They had fought with everything they had, and they had emerged victorious. But the cost had been high. Many had been lost, and the scars of the war would remain for generations. John addressed the crew, his voice filled with determination. "This is not the end. It's a new beginning. We've shown the galaxy what humanity is capable of. We've shown them that we are not weak. We are strong. And we will never give up." The crew cheered, their voices echoing through the ship. They knew the road ahead would be difficult, but they were ready to face it. Together, they would rebuild, and they would ensure that the sacrifices made in the war would never be forgotten. As the warship returned to Earth, the planet's surface came into view. It was scarred and battered, but it was still their home. And it was worth fighting for. The aliens had seen Earth as weak. But humanity had shown them their true power. And they would never forget it.